Well, it's kind of sunny out. I haven't seen the sun in about 2 weeks now, but yeah. Got my new snow tires, so I'll be making a bit of a trip to the neighboring town, but they get low on cash, so I'll have to go to the bank. Okay, so I got a couple of things here. Yeah, I think I already did this, so I'll just go with this here. But first, before we get into this, I'll show you what I got from the Liberal Party of Canada. Look at that. See that? Did you get one of these yet? Well, if you're Canadian, this is My Democracy. Oh, okay, so that's the first one. MyDemocracy.ca. That's the... And if you want to know internet, please call 1-844-690-8363. This is basically the government. Have your say about democracy, about our democracy. The government of Canada invites you to explore how your opinions about the democracy compare to those of other Canadians. Visit www.mydemocracy.ca or call 1-844-690-8363. Before December 30th, 2016, take part in the nationwide conversation of electoral reform. Participate at mydemocracy.ca. So in other words, this is, I don't know how bad the Liberals are going to screw up. The good news is I don't think they're going to be able to even get anything. Like all the Liberal plans, like almost nothing's going to start before 2020. So they're banking on the fact that they're going to get a second term to be able to complete this junk. Like nobody was asking to change the voting system in Canada. Like it's first past the post here, where it's a little different in states where basically my understanding of it is they want to put in a form of what you like in the states where it's electoral college. Now the thing is where they put the electoral votes. That's what would concern me. Is like, okay, they're not going to give like a little area like this electoral vote, to trump the big cities. No, what they're going to do is find the most liberal regions they can and put it there. I don't trust them as far as you can throw them. Anyway, so let's just jump into this. Okay, so far, okay, I'm not a big fan of the Chinese government. You know that. I have nothing against Chinese people, but the Chinese government, the communist, ruling party there, they're still communists. Yes, they put different flavors and different brands on it, but at the end of the day, you step out of line there, they crack down on you pretty hard. And in China, they have something like 130,000 protests a year, and they're big protests. Like there's usually tens of thousands of people at every protest. So, but they keep them in line pretty good. The water cannons, the beatdowns, etc., people disappear. You have your protests, but they take away the protest leaders like that. They lock them up like that, right? So you have these people that, like, there's two sides to China. There's the, the business-friendly side, and you got your Warren Buffett types that are, oh no, China's so great there. Yeah, of course, because he's a billionaire. He gets treated very well because they want your business. But on the other hand, you live on the outskirts of the big cities. You're gonna live like a rat. That type of thing. If you're a part of Falun Gong, you're going to be probably persecuted. That type of thing. There is no Tibet. There is no Taiwan. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So yeah, China's got its problems. It's human rights. You got your government issued free opinion for you there. You know what I mean? So. But even with all that said, and China manipulating its currency and all the people here, I like what Donald Trump has been saying. He'll be coming up second there for what he's saying against China. All these tycoons here that have sent all their businesses to China, stuff like that. We've regulated through NAFTA and United Nations Agenda 21 and United Nations Agenda 30, which is now in play. That's all they talk about here in Canada. Every law coming out, doesn't matter what party we're talking about. They're pretty much, George Soros is pretty much the Prime Minister of Canada for the Rothschilds, right? I'm not even making that up. Like if you follow it, that's all they care about. Gender parity, everything that I was reading off in the United Nations Agenda 2030, they're reading off. So anyway, as bad as that is with China, they got their problems, but if they're not bugging anybody, I don't care. Let them, if they want to be a communist country, let them be a communist country. Just keep it over there. Don't bring it over here. Unfortunately, Justin Trudeau's inviting it arms wide open. But they got 400 U.S. military bases around China, starting in Australia, working its way up, and the missile systems and all that. So really, there's no other way to look at it than the United States is provoking China. Now, they don't even have to do that. The thing is that you want to take down China, you just stop doing business with them. If the United States stops doing business with China, there is no more China. Like as a country it'll exist, but as a superpower, I mean, the business with the United States and the world is what builds China's military. That's the thing. I mean, you think of China the day before NAFTA in 94 or 91, 94, whenever NAFTA came out. I think in 94. Don't quote me on that, but China was still living in the 1950s. It was still living in the 1950s. It had its Soviet-powered vehicles and stuff like that, and tanks and everything. But it was not a threat to the global world. It didn't have the warships it has. Even its missile capabilities were at, survivable levels. But now, no. In the name of progressivism and climate change, what we've done is we regulated all the environments here, which is good, to have clean water and clean fresh air and stuff like that, and regulated all the jobs out of here to outsource them to China, Mexico, India, places like that. And the argument is, oh yeah, but it helps the third world. Yeah, but you know what? Let the third world help itself. You can teach them how to do that, fine. But you don't bring yourself down to their level, and that's what we're doing. Each generation is gradually getting more poor here in Canada, same in the States and Europe and whatever, because of this. Oh, we got to help everybody, end poverty by 2035. It's never the world elites that donate their billions of dollars. It's okay. How do we extort more from the little guys here to give over there? Best way to do it is regulate the businesses out of here to send them to China, so China can build up its military and all that. And they have no rules or regulations to really follow there. I mean, you got factories exploding all the time because of lack of and their environment is completely poisoned over there. That's the other thing, and that's going to come over here too. We're all on one planet. You pollute over there, it does have butterfly effects. It eventually gets into the water and gets over here. It might take a couple of decades, but it's still, and then of course the jet stream, all the poisons that are in the air there get blown around the world, that type of thing. And, because a couple of handful of tycoons in the government and government cronies are basically making money off of it, oh well, it's okay that they can pollute because, well, they're developing countries. No, I think we all need to be held to the same standard. There's no reason why you can't hold China or India to the same standard, particularly China, because they're making so much money, okay, that they're able to build a military. Well, if they're able to build a military, they're able to get environmentally regulated too. And if they won't do it themselves, then perhaps we put such tariffs on them that they can't make a profit. But yeah, that said, 400 military bases around China and a lot around Russia. I don't know exactly. The U.S. has over 700 military bases globally. Maybe more than that now. So a lot of them surround Russia and China. Now, China, the big one is around the Marshall Islands. Now, you have to understand, particularly like Bikini Island and stuff like that. Bikini Island, I don't know why they called it Bikini Island, because they should have called it Nuke Island, because pretty much every day for about 20 years there was nukes going off in these islands. Maybe not every day, but you get the idea. There's a guy just put out a documentary on it and talking about the point of the Marshall Islands and the build-up there in Guam and all these other places. Is that's to basically contain the Chinese Navy, so that you got Guam on one side, you got the Marshall Islands on the other side. The Philippines, we're going to get our good friend Duterte in a moment. You got to see it for what it is. Like they're basically encircled and surrounded. If you just look at the map where the American military bases are, how could China take it any other way than a threat? Whether you agree with them or disagree with them is not the issue. It's, okay, these people are being contained. And the military buildup there, I mean, the amount of military personnel over there, no wonder the U.S. is broke. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. Now, the argument comes, well, if we back off there, China's going to put its supremacy to... China can't go as far as you think. It can go pretty far, don't get me wrong. But there's other ways of doing it. First off, you hit them financially, trust me, that's the best way to take wind out of their sails. Why? Because if you don't pay soldiers, they go home or they get mad and they stage a coup. The problem is we don't really want a military coup with China, because with those kind of weapons, China does have some pretty substantial weapons. The thing for China is they lack mobility right now, but they're working on that. The AN-225s, they're going to be building a fleet of them. That's the largest heavy lifter 6-engine aircraft on the planet, and they want to build a fleet of them. So they want to make a Red Dawn, like the Red Dawn movie. They want to make that possible, so that if they want to invade some place, they could send out 200 of these. I don't know how many they're going to build, but they're probably going to build probably a couple of hundred of these things. Which I don't know. I don't know if there's enough room on the planet for them. They're so freaking big. They nicknamed the airplane the aluminum overcast, because the wing area is so big. You walk under the wing, it's like 10 degrees cooler. It just covers so much area. It's like a big cloud. They're building those. They're going to be building the world's largest hovercrafts. They're going to be building fleets of those. So that'll make them mobile for the island. Plus, they have the largest amphibious assault vehicles on a number of those on the planet. They just don't have the means to move them off, from island to island as easily. They can move some at a time, but in a time of war, they can't move a lot of them. So that now they're going to be building the hovercraft and stuff like that. Well, where are they going to get the money to do that? Well, every time we buy cheap junk from China, it goes back to state-run businesses, and the state-run businesses is what's building up China's military. This is why, we should be. If we had a nationalist government in Canada, we could take care of a lot of that. Okay, you want that product, we'll build it here. If China builds it, they either build it fairly and competitively. And the thing is that you don't even have to attack China to do this. Enter Donald Trump. Again, if anything, no matter what, and I'm going to say this right now, Donald Trump, no matter which way he goes, is the most awesome president in his history. Here's why. The entertainment value is just fantastic. The shock value is always keeps you on your toes. You just never know what the man is going to do next, right? So just from the awe and wonder and shock value of it, okay, yeah, love him or hate him, it's wow, he definitely keeps you entertained. This is the best show he's ever had. You know what I mean? You're fired. And here's what Donald Trump is saying. Now, can he do this? I don't know. But sometimes it's just the optics of the threat of it that it's like somebody jumping out of a closet and yelling "boo." They might not be willing to hurt you, but they're definitely going to startle you. And that's, I think, what Donald Trump might be doing here. But he's telling all businesses that are basically, this is going to really piss off the Warren Buffett types, that, okay, if you want to do business with China, that's fine. You can do that. If you want to send jobs to China and India and Mexico, that's fine. You can do that. However, we're going to put a 35% tariff on you. All the people that were about to ship the jobs out of the United States right now are probably saying, well, no, because we'll have to ship all those people back. So that it's incentive to stay. So for 4 years, at least, there's that looming threat that it's not whether he can do it. The Congress isn't going to work with him on this. That's pretty much understandable. That said, if you're giving tax breaks in the states, which the House and the Senate, they're going to have to do that, because if they don't give tax breaks to the small guy, they're going to destroy themselves. Like the GOP's already destroyed. Donald Trump has the reins of the GOP, not the other way around. If they don't work with him, he's just going to make them look worse. So there's certain things that they can fight him on, but when it comes to the business owners in the states want more. I'm worried about how much he's going to deregulate, but getting rid of nonsensical regulations and taxes. Again, I don't see any small business owner. I think only foreign businesses or global corporations should be taxed. Small businesses in Canada, they shouldn't be taxed, or 3%. Just really. But you can't do that until you shrink your budget. This is the problem Donald Trump has. For every tax break he's got to give, he's got to cut government. He's got to do austerity. Now, the austerity is never popular because whether it's a government employer or a private sector, nobody wants to lose their job, and I understand that. So what he has to do to balance the budget, now Donald Trump said he could balance the budget in 4 years. Anybody can balance the budget in 4 years, but at what cost? How catastrophic does that look? How many people die balancing that budget? You have to cut everything. But at a 400 military bases, I think you could probably cut quite a few. Or half staff them or quarter staff them, or just keep enough there to keep the base or whatever, and then strategically start closing bases while you put tariffs on the Chinese companies. That type of thing to equalize the labor, and so that they can't keep under, so that it's a fair. That I don't believe in free trade. To agree I do, but I don't, because if it's just about globalization, then yeah, free trade's a great thing. But if it's about sovereignty of your country, free trade undercuts your labor too much. Insourcing and outsourcing. All these people shipping people in, firing their employees, and then shipping in all this cheap migrant labor and stuff like that. That's what they're doing. And people are picking up on. When you have to train your newly arrived, barely English-speaking migrant to train them to do your job, okay, well, number one, maybe your job a monkey can do, fine. But that's still not fair. That is not fair. And the fact that the corporations could do this, I think every corporation that does this should be shamed publicly and boycotted the best you can. I mean, some stuff, because it's so unavoidable that you have to buy Chinese products, if you have the option and you've got to pay a little bit more, you're saving a job here. But when people, everybody's, because we've raised our dollar to the bottom to buy the cheapest stuff from the lowest bidder, everybody has to buy budget stuff, which is always the Chinese stuff, right? So you're kind of in that catch-22. But if you can fight back a little, a little goes a long way in the long run. So I think if Donald Trump could do that, that'd be great. Meanwhile, here in Canada, no, Justin Trudeau's going to, he's pretty much taking donations from, state-run businesses from China, all these Chinese billionaires, and then all of a sudden, oh, well, no, they're not directly donating to the Liberals, but, they're going to build a monument statue to Pierre Elliott Trudeau and donate to a few other things. And, well, we're just going to, allow that Chinese bank open up here in Canada, that new investment bank that's going to charge, Canadian taxpayers more. We're going to do stuff like that. We're going to give them contracts. So, yeah, that's got to stop. And you're not going to get that until you get a nationalist. Yes, protectionism needs to be done. It needs to be done. Will it jam down some business? Yes, but in the long run, if you're keeping the jobs here, the wealth stays in the country. You're not shipping all that currency overseas, right? So can Trump do it? I doubt he can do that, but he could probably do some of it. Okay, moving along. Two warships, the Wasp and the Whippy, are moving into basically into the Middle East there. They've got 4,000 U.S. troops on it. For the peace president of the United States, now these guys, I guess, are going to be going into Iraq and in Syria. Somehow, I don't know exactly what the plan is for these 4,000 troops. Now, troops doesn't necessarily mean frontline soldiers. I get it. You have 300 soldiers and you have 5,000 troops. Setting up a base, feeding these guys, keeping the tanks and the airplanes running. I get, the troops does not necessarily equal soldier. But what are these guys there for? Like, why is there such a military buildup? There's already that's got to be close to 10,000 U.S. Troops there, and there are troops clearly fighting in Syria and in Iraq. They're on footage. It's pretty much openly admitted. So the war never ended. This Obama ending the war in Iraq and Afghanistan's kind of done, but the war's never ended. Some people are speculating that this might be the cleanup crew coming in to get their, Mossad and CIA and whatever, all these, their ISIS leaders out, because these guys are going to get killed. The Russians and the Syrians, they are not letting up anytime soon. They're basically, okay, you can leave Aleppo now. If you don't, we're going to kill you. And Assad has been doing this all along. Okay, just put down your weapons, stop fighting, go home. But he knows he's calling a bluff. These jihadists, they're getting paid. Some of them are getting paid well. The rest are brainwashed. And he knows the CIA guys ain't going home, so they can kill those guys. And you can't admit it. You can't admit that you're killed. Like when John Kerry or John McCain comes up and says, "You're killing our guys." Well, they can't give you specifics. Because you're killing, again, there must be so many dead CIA and Mossad agents. And there's also Russian agents getting killed in there. Except for the Russians can admit it when their agents get killed because they're in there legitimately. They're the only ones that were invited into Syria. The other coalition forces are not. Same with the French and the German, delegates that are in there or whatever. So there's even a fight in the UN right now. Again, my take on the UN. It's a corrupt Rothschild or Rockefeller organization. But there are some good people in the UN that actually believe the UN is there to do good, but they don't really realize that they're just part of a bigger scam, right? And right now, the U.S. doesn't want to use the OSCE anymore because too many of them are coming out and saying, no, it's not. It's not Assad's troops that are using chemical weapons. It's these U.S.-backed jihadists, which they're ISIS. They keep changing the name. There's all these new groups coming out every day. They just keep changing the name so you don't know who's who. But at the end of the day, they're all the same guys. They're all supplied by the same people. You arm terrorists, you're a terrorist. So the CIA is a terrorist organization. There's no doubt about that. The greater interest, the Machiavellian end justifies the means. No, they're terrorists. These people are beyond criminal. Same with the Mossad. They're beyond criminal. Because they can't get a proxy army or can't get the U.S. People to want to fight in Syria. They don't have the stomach for war anymore. We're going to hire a proxy militant to do the bidding for us. And for what? It's not for the democracy, women and children. I think that's pretty noticeable now. Now, going back to Australia, to the land down under, mates, we got something really crazy going on there, and I've been talking to a few of my subscribers from Australia and asking if they've ever heard of it. The asthmatic thunderstorms. A few people have died. The way it works, now I really don't know if this is real or not because we're also seeing it at the same time happening in Kuwait, which is really, really, really bizarre. Basically, and again, we're talking about the desert. How much pollen can there be in the desert? You know what I mean? So these, I know the desert gets sandstorms like crazy. I can imagine, yes, they do get pollen and stuff like that. But the way it's working is the thunderstorm comes in, it kicks up the pollen bursts, and then people, like, I mean, there's like one girl, she died waiting for the ambulance with her parents, basically died waiting for the ambulance. They said it was the equivalent in Australia is 150 bombs going off. The emergency services were just so overwhelmed. So, I don't know, I've never heard of it before. They're saying that, this has happened before in the past. The last time was sometime in the 1980s, but there's also speculation that information might be bogus. I've never heard of it before, but I do know there are things. For example, there's a type of fish that lives in the desert. Yeah, it lives in the desert. It basically, a pond will form, it'll rain into the desert. These little fish will come up every 10 years or every 20 years, whatever it is, and they'll spawn, and then that pond will dry up, and basically their carcasses go dormant, and that's the new larva, and it goes dormant in the desert. It's a miraculous burst of life that happens that you would never know until you see it. So I do believe there's hidden wonders of nature. There's no doubt about that. But in 2 weeks, completely, how far is Kuwait from Australia, right? So that kind of makes you wonder, is this a bioweapon being tested? Is this genetic bioweapons that can, we don't know. We really don't know. Or is it just a freak of nature? It's really hard to tell. But it's something to keep an eye on, because we don't know. We just don't know. Okay, this goes back to Trump again. Again, we're not really out of the water. The things that kind of worry me about Trump is his stance on China and his stance on Iran. So I don't know, how hawkish Trump is going to be towards Iran. Now, I don't think Trump is a stupid man at all. I mean, I know a lot of people play him as the buffoon and stuff like that. And think, okay, well, yeah, but they're just going to do like George Bush, just dupe him into. Well, mind you, George Bush was a willing participant, junior and senior. But the bankers, whenever George Bush senior or junior came along, they said, with George Bush Jr., he's going to be an easy guy to control, but he's really stupid. And he kind of is. If you've watched him long enough, he is kind of he's not a crafty guy at all. He can't function too well off script. Obama, same thing. He's not very, very smart. He can't function off a script at all. He just goes into stutter mode. He just when his teleprompter breaks down, the guy can't speak. He can't even wing it. That type of thing. You can, like Justin Trudeau, you can do these, regurgitate the company line, from memory like that, but you can't come up with anything new. There's no on-the-spot wit at all. But Trump, I don't think is the same. I mean, if anything, I think Trump is way smarter than, particularly what the opposition give him credit for. This man knows, his timing is impeccable to just throw out a tweet when he knows people are paying attention. And it's coming from him. I think he does have handlers that are, again, I do think there are probably, like your Steve Pachenik types out there, there probably are CIA guys saying, now would be a great time to just stir the pot a little bit. Create that agitation to get to, you're leading people to this direction. You're leading people to that direction. Just throw out a tweet. So, throw out a tweet. The mainstream media bites and tries to counter it. And they do all the propagandizing for him. It's brilliant. That's not an accident. Because if it was an accident, he would get it wrong from once in a while. But notice he does. It doesn't. It's not. Now, as far as the recounts with Jill Stein, I'm starting to think that maybe Donald Trump put her up to it. I mean, my mind goes there. You know how much I bash Israel, okay? But Israel's got this plan where they got 8 or 9 guys around a table, okay? And if they all come to an agreement, one guy is designated to disagree to the unthinkable. And this comes after the 73 war, the 6-Day War and stuff like that, where, okay, well, everybody said, no, they're not going to invade. Egypt and Syria, they're not going to invade. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. And all of a sudden they did it, right? So it's like they have to have this one guy that says, okay, no. You guys planned for that. We're going to do a backup plan in case it's the total opposite, which is a good idea. So that's, I think that's a clever way to do things. I mean, the Mossad, I don't like them very much, but they are freaking clever. Many of the tactics you see in the States are refined in Israel. Fighter jet protocol, pilots, stuff like that. Israel does perfect a lot of these things, because, they're always embroiled in a scuffle, right? So that's one thing you can say get out of it. Drone technology. I mean, it was the Israelis that first started really using drones. Because they were losing too many pilots. And then it's like, yeah, drones, well, that's a great idea, And then, of course, the United States, makes these mega drones right now, which we're going to talk about drones in a minute. But I'm thinking, if I was Donald Trump, okay, and you wanted to get Hillary Clinton further down the road so that there was no way they could steal the Electoral College, if you already knew that the counts were going to come out into your favor. It looks like there's more than a few counts that Donald Trump, some of you won one area by 39 votes. So now not only did he win the Electoral College there, but he also won the popular vote there, which that's only 39 votes, right? But in other areas, it's tens of thousands that he's won by. So the voting fraud is really, okay, Trump's out there saying, oh, no, this is a scam. She shouldn't be doing that. She's got millions and millions of dollars. The Green Party's already outed her. They don't want to have anything to do with Jill Stein. And she has no reason to be doing this. So it's either one of two things. Either the United States has the central bankers and the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, George Soros, Henry Kissinger, Zbigniew Brzezinski, all those types, they have less than a week to steal the election from Donald Trump, which I'm going to make a separate video on. It'll probably be a very short video. But it's just something to keep an eye on. Is it conspiracy theory? Sure, it's conspiracy theory. But think about it this way. What if Donald Trump knows that he got those votes in those areas? Okay? Because we really don't know who's giving Jill Stein's up to $9 million. Okay, she's making a lot of money here, I'm sure. I mean, how much is it really being spent to recount these votes? It's putting the vote count in limbo. Now, I would say watch for this. Because I think the Electoral College has to make its vote by the 13th or the 19th. I heard two numbers. First, I heard it was supposed to be done by the 19th. Now, maybe there are some, and there's already one Electoral College guy that's going to go against Trump. But maybe what Trump is doing is saying, okay, they're going to try to steal the election through the Electoral College. Let's do a recount. Okay, Jill, do the recount. Make it look like you're on Hillary Clinton's side. We're going to fuck this lady over together. Which would be the most patriotic thing Jill Stein could do, and she's never, ever going to get credit for it, ever. You know what I mean? So in that sense, hats off to the woman. That's taking one for your country, and very good. If that's the case. And the only way we'll know that is if they call off the recounts just before the Electoral College makes its decision, only knowing for sure that Donald Trump has now got the popular vote in other areas where Hillary Clinton had it. So the recount keeps coming up in favor of Trump. Maybe not in all places, but this is the thing, right? So that could be a part of it. So that could be a Trump play. We don't know. The other thing is that, no, they are really trying to, Jill Stein is now working for the cabal faction of Clinton, and they are really trying to steal the election from Donald Trump, because it's like, okay, well, the counts are in limbo, so we don't have a clear winner of the presidency, so let's just go with the popular vote. Hillary Clinton will then take. Could you imagine the ruckus the day after? I do believe there will be body counts if they do that to Donald Trump. Especially after all the propagandizing of, Trump has to accept the election results. And the Clinton campaign is still like trying to steal it, right? So if she steals it, she's a dead woman. I'm not making any threats, but I'm like, someone's going to take her out. There's just no way it's not going to happen. But then who takes her place? That's more the, does Obama do a third term? He'd be a dead man too. Like, I mean, that's what starts your civil war in the States. Doesn't start on that date, no, but you watch for bodies. I mean, everything we've seen to this point is so bizarre to begin with. So the recounts, though, you have. There was a tweet that came up from here in Canada. These leftists, because they're so radicalized, that they threaten violence, not realizing how illegal it is. But that's the way the leftists work, right? And apparently there was some guy that worked at Best Buy up here in Canada, out west, tweeted how he was calling for the assassination of Trump, and they basically found his account, they tracked his account back to up here. And pretty much mimicking what the Electoral College guy was saying about how he wasn't going to vote for Trump. And that is his right to do that. I mean, okay, fair enough. I still think you're a douchebag. But so the coup of the Electoral College, that will have massive consequences for the country. Donald Trump was the last-ditched attempt at not having a civil war in the States. You already have it. You're going to have, but I mean like overthrow a military coup of the country, because after that it's like there's no rule of law. If the Electoral College doesn't honor because they could still harpoon Trump other ways, such as they inaugurate him and 3 days later they destroy the economy, or a couple of months, 3 months later, they start to destroy the economy on Trump. But the problem is Trump is going to make gains. So it'll be like, well, with lowering taxes on businesses, okay, that might collapse the government, but that's not going to collapse businesses. That's going to let businesses thrive. So again, this will tell you if Trump's the real deal. But the thing is they're going to try to use, this is why I say put food away as much as you can, because again, we're actually in more intense times than what you think as far as getting us into a war with the Russians. And as we go, we'll see. But these are things to keep an eye on. And so they're still trying to, before Trump's inauguration, they're still trying to get a war going. They could still get one going with China or Iran to a degree, but I don't think Trump is going to play that card if he's the real deal. I think, obviously, he doesn't want a war with China, but he's going to play hardball with them. So which might actually benefit the Chinese people in the long run if he forces them to up their, their business practices, which is kind of going to, dare I say, actually restore slight human rights to China. At least give them some labor stuff. China's a lot better than what it was, but, this kind of forces the hand of it. The other thing, and this is where we're going to get to pretty soon, is, I might as well talk about Duterte right now, since I'm talking about China. Okay, Duterte, Rodrigo Duterte, the most interesting character outside of Trump in the Philippines, has told that the United States, get the hell out of my country, pretty much. They've already made an assassination attempt on him, blame it on Islamists. To do regime change and saying, you know what, this is the last drill we're doing. We're not going to fight China. Philippines is going to work with China. They're pretty much openly said that. Screw you, United States. Screw you, Obama. You monkey-eared bastard. Your mom's a whore. You can't that's pretty much what he said to him, right? Obama's response: well, he's a colorful character. Yeah, we're going to have to work on relations. But basically, Philippine-U.S. relations have just took a shit. Duterte's body count on drug dealers, like anybody thinking of going to the Philippines right now, and I hear from some people from the Philippines, always good to hear from people from around the world and stuff like that, okay, he's going after the drug dealers. I think the body count's over 3,000. So how many of these are actual drug dealers, or just, we think they're a drug dealer, so we'll kill them, that type of thing. And if they're really going after the drug dealers, Duterte's already said, we're going after the CIA guys. So they're killing U.S. interest right there, which is good. There's no reason for the war on drugs to be funding the black ops like that. I don't care who you are. They're just, no, it's just criminal. It's just criminal. The CIA, I think, should be disbanded in something completely revised. It's such a bad organization. Same with the NSA and the DHS. These are bad organizations. And the FBI, well, they need a tannin. You know what I mean? They definitely need to be this, we're going to do these shady things because it's in the greater good. No, stop doing that. Just stop doing that. People don't want the corruption anymore. So that said, Donald Trump, after all of Duterte's, ramping up of and talking to the Taiwanese leader, which again I think is, Trump didn't do this by accident. He took that call. He probably set it up himself to get the rile up to piss off China, that type of thing, and to piss off the Democrats, and to get again, this is what real diplomacy looks like. It's not that's not how Trump's supposed to respond to Taiwan. You're offending the Chinese. And there's, how many people are sitting there going, okay, I don't hate the Chinese people, nothing, but why the fuck do you care if you offend the Chinese government? You know what I mean? Why would you care? It's a shitty government. They're a horrible government. They do nothing for their people. They're a horrible government. They do nothing for their people. And I know there's going to be people say, you don't know anything about China, they're great, they're the best, okay, well, if you want to live there, go ahead. I wouldn't want to live there. I'd visit, sure, it'd be beautiful to visit. I think the people are very nice. Whatever, sure, they do have an interesting countryside, but look at the environment. They don't take care of the people. You know what I mean? They don't. It's bottom line. So India's doing the same problem right now. India, they're really doing with banning of cash there, which, trust me, is the canary in the coal mine globally. Trust me, the One World 2018 currency is going to come in as a digital currency. It's going to come in overnight like that. Ban all ATMs. They're talking about it, and you're already starting to see it in Europe. This is going to have catastrophic. People are going to die because of this, because the bankers once again decide the winners and losers. That's why they're so criminal. They need to be put to, in jail, But anyway, so you got that. So Duterte, Trump's apparently already contacted him. Again, I can't confirm this, and invited him to the White House. Oh, like that bitch slap must have left a mark on Obama's face. Like it must have. And everybody that's behind Obama because of the tough stance on it. So right away, with one phone call, the possibility, and again, we'll have to remain to be seen, is, Mr. Duterte, come to the White House. Let's talk. Let's negotiate. What is it? What are you upset about? And that's the guy has legitimate things. He's like, the drug trade has killed my people. The CIA drug trade's killed my people. You have us on the verge of war with China. My people are, when war breaks out with China, the Philippines, those people are the ones that are going to die first. The people in Taiwan, they're going to die first. Japan, they're going to die first. The Chinese people, they're going to die as well. You're going to get a lot of people killed with this recklessness. Duterte is acting irrationally to rational arguments. You know what I mean? So if Trump can come in and say, okay, well, here, we'll give you this. Stay on our side. Don't leave. It's like, the guy's wife that gets angry. Look, baby, don't leave. Look, okay, let's talk. He's doing that right now. And, maybe you just got to give Duterte a hug or something. Okay, maybe you want to pull back the executions and stuff like that. We'll work out the CIA thing, get the drugs out of your country. We'll help you with that. But while we're doing that, let's just kind of carry on like we were to a good degree. Anything that you're really opposed to, we'll hold off for now. Butter them up, wine them and dine them a bit, and then you've got that ally again. You know what I mean? So with a phone call, Trump might be basically keeping an ally in the Philippines. Of course, as soon as he does, they'll say, well, Trump and Duterte are racists. It's like, I don't know how they're going to spin it, but it should be comical either way. Rammstein, du hast. Yeah, stroll. Rammstein, the band, okay, from the city of Rammstein in Germany. You want to hear a really creepy song from Rammstein? It's Stripped. Let me see you stripped. Yeah, and the Moscow song's pretty good. Coca-Cola, Wonderbar. I like Rammstein. They're pretty good. All that heavy industrial stuff. But anyway, although some cool stuff happens in Rammstein, Germany, some not so cool stuff. Rammstein Air Force Base is basically where most of these drones are stationed. Drone pilots are stationed that do the strikes in the Middle East. Denied for years, finally, no, we've been doing that all along. So once again, the fake news comes through, and it's, and then the mainstream media finally, no, they were right. They were right. So I forget how, bomb was well over 4,000 killed now. I don't know how many women and children. Remember, the drone strike policy, which the criteria for the drone strikes are not open to the public. We still don't know why they do it or what the court, what it's about and how they do it. But we do know that the collateral damage is 30 to 1. If you have your Durka Allah Akbar Durka walking around, and there's 30 innocent people around there, you're legally allowed to kill that person. That's considered acceptable damage. I don't know about you, but one of my family members is not acceptable as collateral damage. Collateral damage means dead people, not just blown up buildings. So they're willing to do that, and that's what the U.S. has been doing, which, if you look at it from a policy of safety, it's the worst policy ever. Yes, drones are effective. I'm not against drone technology in battle. In battle, you got some guys that are clearly on the rooftops with their AK-47s and rocket launchers or whatever. Sure, take them out as long as you can safely do it without killing everybody else around that's innocent. That type of thing. But if you don't, you're hitting people at wedding parties and open markets. Okay, but that terrorist, if we let him get free, wait till he's in the open clear. If you have to fly over him for, send another drone, whatever. If he gets away that time, get him another time. If you kill innocent people, the family members of those 30 dead people or more, and a lot of times there's some places where they kill like 60, 80 people, or 50 people or whatever, or 300 in these drone strikes and airstrikes. And they're all, okay, well, you got 2 terrorists, fine. But now you've created 1,000 more terrorists, in retribution, right? So if you want to guarantee more war, that's how you do it. Also coming out is, and you guys pretty much knew this, was Erdogan's son. Basically, it's now pretty much openly admitted that, yes, they were buying the oil from ISIS directly, and we saw the Russians, pretty much showing the oil convoys going into Turkey, where they were getting oil pretty much, not one A-10 hit that convoy, strangely enough, that type of thing. Russia blew the shitballs out of them. That's why Erdogan was so mad, and his son was so mad because you're ruining their oil. The U.S. is trying to get safe passage and buy time to get their intel officers out of Syria. The Castillo. This is a part of that. Remember that Caesar Civilian Protection Act, HR 5732, I believe it was, the one that basically talks about the no-fly zone in the future in the States, or in Syria. And I haven't read the whole bill yet, but I skimmed through it. But this is probably going to that. They're trying to get these guys out into Turkey. So this is, I guess, the U.S. knows, again, they just did some talks. Russia agreed with the talks from the United States, and then the United States came back and said, okay, no, we're not going to do that now. It's kind of one of those things where, okay, they had an agreement, and then to buy time, the U.S. ditched the agreement, and then blamed it on Russia for ditching the agreement after they agreed with it. So it's kind of strange there. Meanwhile, this is to get it's to get their assets out. The Syrian rebels and stuff like that, they'll be thrown under the bus whenever they're not needed. Again, this war could probably be ended in about 2 weeks if the U.S. stops arming ISIS. A part of that thing, air-to-air man-pads are going to Syria. Basically, I call them all ISIS, but whatever the new group is. But this is, again, one that's affiliated with Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra. They're all the same group, ISIS. No matter what brand you put on. But they just passed that at the U.S. Senate. So, yes, they're going to be trying to shoot down Syrian and Russian aircraft. They've already told the ISIS guys, don't shoot down aircraft, shoot down their aircraft. That type of thing. Again, I already talked about the Jill Stein being outed by the Green Party. But again, we'll have to watch what the recounts. Yeah. Now, this, I don't know. I think I've already covered this, but I'm just going to throw this out there because I don't know if I did or not. But anyway, U.S. participation rate on the labor force, 40-year low, just so you know. Obama's great recovery. Warships to the Black Sea over the Crimea for the missile tests. I guess Ukraine has already started the missile tests. 55,000 Russian troops to the Ukraine border, according to the Ukraine. I don't know if that's true or not. Basically, for these missile tests, that should be taking place now as we speak. Israeli-fired missiles into Lebanon again. And they basically they want to get rebel groups from Damascus. Denmark removes its jets from Syria. What does Denmark have to do with Syria? You know what I mean? Like these are questions. What is Denmark's interest in Syria? You know what I mean? Like there's no interest. It's the same with Canada. We don't need to be in there. We can isolate the Middle East by vetting people coming from the Middle East or just cutting off travel from there altogether. We can send aid to the safer areas in Syria, which there are some, and set up safe zones in Syria. Israel could open its borders to the migrants, which it doesn't. The closest country, the best armed country and the safest country for the migrants to go to, but no. Also, there's been, it looks like 15 NGO boats going from basically Greece and Italy, basically picking up, I guess off the island of Cyprus or whatever, picking up and going to Libya to pick up all these migrants coming back. And they're basically, it's one of those global ship things you see with airliners too, where you can watch air traffic or shipping traffic around the world. And there's 15 ships. These ships should be documented and they should be confiscated by the governments. But this shows you the compliance of the government, that the migrants, again, the raft, look at these rafts, these 100-man rafts. These things are tens of thousands of dollars. Somebody, big money, we know George Soros is behind a lot of it, but there's a whole bunch of NGOs that are behind the flooding of the migrants into Europe. But this just shows that whoever owns these ships, okay, they are willingly going back and forth picking up migrants. And there's about 15 of them. There we go. So, yeah. And we got 5,000 U.S. soldiers of the 101st Airborne, 200 in fighting over there in basically in Iraq and Syria, and again there's 4,000 more on the way. Drills are starting in the Ukraine for the missiles. So again, things haven't calmed down even after Trump's win. We don't really know what's going to happen. The two dates to really watch, I think, is can the Electoral College steal the election from Trump? They still can do it. Just think of the bizarreness of that. That's something I don't think that's ever been done before in U.S. history, where they've actually stole votes to give to the other candidate. I don't think that's ever been done. If it has, let us know. Again, I'm just not up to power on that one. But that said, this would be, in this day and age, the world elites, they are desperate now. They're very clearly desperate. So if they are truly thinking of doing that, like stealing the election that way, that will tell people there is no rule of law. That will clearly tell it. Right now, the Electoral College, many of them are getting death threats to not vote for Trump, cast their vote for Trump. So they don't have to get them all. They only have to get them below 270, I believe. And then it goes down, well, we don't have a clear winner because the Electoral College people that didn't cast their votes, then whatever. They'll give it to go with the popular vote, Hillary Clinton win. But maybe, just maybe, with Jill Stein's recounts, if they keep coming up in favor of Trump in time, there could be enough recounts to say, no, Trump still has the popular vote. Again, if you take away, remember, and CNN and all them lying, saying, it's fake news that, Hillary's fake votes. No, Barack Obama on NBC or one of these mainstream channels said, if you are an illegal, you can vote, there will be no repercussions. His exact words. Pretty much his exact words. Openly admitted. And then they come out and lie to you. So anybody that saw that a couple of weeks ago, say, even if they're a Democrat, they're looking at it, well, no, but Obama did that. He said that they couldn't vote. Maybe they agree with it, but it doesn't matter. He said that. So now you're telling us he didn't say that. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. They just dismiss everything as fake news right now. That's like, okay, well, conspiracy theorist isn't a tainted name anymore, and it doesn't work anymore. So we're just going to go with, and I talked about my conversation a few weeks ago, or a few days last week with the guy. Oh, that's just fake news. What it is, yeah. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to buy into the fake news, but anybody that looks outside the fake news, they're going to come up with, oh, geez, the fake news is the mainstream media. So 6 major organizations in the States are telling you everybody else is lying, and you got tens of thousands of online people that they're all lying. Everybody on the main in the alternative media is unvetted, and they're all lying. But not these 6 organizations. Who like 6 organizations, Fox, CNN, NBC, whatever, Associated Press, whatever they're going to be. These guys, all owned by the same guy, of course, Rupert Murdoch. That there's not one of them have said, well, okay, let's investigate this a little bit further. Not one of them. No, it's lies. Unless you get it from us, it's lies. What does that tell you? What does that tell you, right? And again, anybody that looks into it's harder. It's easier to vet the alternative media than it is the mainstream media. You know what I mean? But anyway, I digress. Those who know the difference know the difference. I'm not saying there is no BS on this side of the fence, but it's getting pretty clear what they're doing. So anyway, I'm going to go with that. My internet, I don't know if it's up today or not. Hopefully it was, so I'll try to get this video up today. I still got the problems with my other computer. I'll have to use this one for now. Take it as far as it goes. At some point, people, I am going to be shut down. I've already come to this realization a long time ago. But I think it's closer than ever. As we get closer to particularly the 13th and the 19th, these are the dates to watch because that's the opportunity window for them to steal the election from Donald Trump. They may not. I don't know if they'll be successful. But if they are successful, wow, brace for impact. Because Hillary Clinton will be then they will unseat Donald Trump. And the mainstream media will be all over that. They'll be like, okay, she won fair and square, They'll spin it like that. She didn't. She stole it. She tried to steal it. It's very clear. That's why I was so convinced Donald Trump wasn't going to win. I still don't know if Donald Trump's a good guy or not. I mean, there will be a civil war if they steal it from Donald Trump. That could have been the plan all along. A real civil war and a military coup to tear the United States apart. China comes in, buys all the seceded states after a few years of battle. All these seceded states, they'll just come in and buy them all up, without firing a shot. That's what they're going to. That does, again, who benefits the most, right? From the United States breaking into secession movements. the Chinese. Because then you take down the biggest. The globalists will benefit the most from this. They want to break up Europe. They want to break up. They don't want nationalism. They want balkanization, right? That type of thing. So you got to look at it like that. That said, if they can't steal that, then just before Trump gets inaugurated, they got to get a war. On Obama's watch, they have to get the war started, or the seeds planted that the war is inevitable. With Russia or China. So they are that desperate. The world elites don't think twice about getting us killed. They don't. They really don't. That's the problem with globalists. They see everybody as a number. These subhuman pieces of crap are they're the worst. And you could say, well, it's conspiracy theory, but it's not. You can clearly see the intensification of things going on around the world. You know what I mean? Like it's so blatantly obvious now. So that said, if Trump, could they be trying to work up an assassination of Trump? If they do, they'll murder him, so they can't really go that route. But that said, they have enough radicals out there that somebody might try it. So you never know. And that would spark, SJWs would get their asses kicked big time if one of them does that, right? So next to that, I guess I'll leave it at about that. We'll have to wait and see what happens. And yeah. I guess, yeah, so anyway, we'll just keep an eye on these things and see where they end up. But anyway, next to that, if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation to the channel. Links down below. Thank you so much to everybody who has. Next to that, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like. Be true to yourself. Be true to others. Always do the right thing, and have yourselves a great day. G'day, and welcome. All right. World War III update. Okay. Well, it's kind of sunny out. I haven't seen the sun in about 2 weeks now, but yeah. Got my new snow tires, so I'll be making a bit of a trip to the neighboring town, but they get low on cash, so I have to go to the bank. Okay, so I got a couple of things here. Yeah, I think I already did this, so I'll just go with this here. But first, before we get into this, I want to show you what I got from the Liberal Party of Canada. Look at that. Huh? See that? Did you get one of these yet? Well, if you're Canadian, this is My Democracy. Oh, okay, so that's the first one. MyDemocracy.ca. That's the... And if you want to know internet, please call 1-844-690-8363. This is basically the government. Have your say about democracy, about our democracy. The government of Canada invites you to explore how your opinions about the democracy compare to those of other Canadians. Visit www.mydemocracy.ca. or call 1-844-690-8363. Before December 30th, 2016, take part in the nationwide conversation of electoral reform. Participate at mydemocracy.ca. So in other words, I don't know how bad the Liberals are going to screw up. The good news is I don't think they're going to be able to even get anything. Like all the Liberal plans, like almost nothing is going to start before 2020. So they're banking on the fact that they're going to get a second term to be able to complete this junk. Like nobody was asking to change the voting system in Canada. It's first past the post here, where it's a little different in states. Where basically my understanding of it is they want to put it in a form of what you like in the states where it's electoral college. Now the thing is where they put the electoral votes. That's what would concern me. It's like, okay, they're not going to give like a little area like this electoral vote. To trump the big cities. No, what they're going to do is find the most liberal regions they can and put it there. I don't trust them as far as you can throw them. Anyway, so let's just jump into this. Okay, so far, okay, I'm not a big fan of the Chinese government. You know that. I have nothing against Chinese people, but the Chinese government, the communist, ruling party there, they're still communists. Yes, they put different flavors and different brands on it, but at the end of the day, you step out of line there, they crack down on you pretty hard. And in China, they have something like 130,000 protests a year, and they're big protests. Like there's usually tens of thousands of people at every protest. So, but they keep them in line pretty good. The water cannons, the beatdowns, etc., people disappear. You have your protests, but they take away the protest leaders like that. They lock them up like that, right? So you have these people that there's two sides to China. There's the the business-friendly side, and you got your Warren Buffett types that are, oh no, China's so great there. Yeah, of course, because he's a billionaire, he gets treated very well because they want your business. But on the other hand, you live on the outskirts of the big cities, you're gonna live like a rat. That type of thing. If you're a part of Falun Gong, you're going to be probably persecuted. That type of thing. There is no Tibet. There is no Taiwan. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So yeah, China's got its problems. It's human rights. You got your government issued free opinion for you there. You know what I mean? So. But even with all that said, and China manipulating its currency, and all the people here, I like what Donald Trump has been saying. He'll be coming up second there for what he's saying against China. All these tycoons here that have sent all their businesses to China, stuff like that. We've regulated through NAFTA and United Nations Agenda 21 and United Nations Agenda 30, which is now in play. That's all they talk about here in Canada. Every law coming out, doesn't matter what party we're talking about, they're pretty much, George Soros is pretty much the Prime Minister of Canada for the Rothschilds, right? I'm not even making that up. Like, if you follow it, that's all they care about. Gender parity, everything that I was reading off in the United Nations Agenda 2030, they're reading off. So anyway, as bad as that is with China, they got their problems, but if they're not bugging anybody, I don't care. Let them, if they want to be a communist country, let them be a communist country. Just keep it over there. Don't bring it over here. Unfortunately, Justin Trudeau's inviting it arms wide open. But they got 400 U.S. military bases around China, starting in Australia, working its way up, and the missile systems and all that. So really, there's no other way to look at it than the United States is provoking China. Now, they don't even have to do that. The thing is that you want to take down China, you just stop doing business with them. If the United States stops doing business with China, there is no more China. Like as a country it'll exist, but as a superpower, I mean, the business with the United States and the world is what builds China's military. That's the thing. I mean, you think of China the day before NAFTA in 94 or 91, 94, whenever NAFTA came out. I think in 94. Don't quote me on that, but China was still living in the 1950s. It was still living in the 1950s. It had its Soviet-powered vehicles and stuff like that, and tanks and everything, but it was not a threat to the global world. It didn't have the warships it has. Even its missile capabilities were at survivable levels. But now, no. In the name of progressivism and climate change, what we've done is we regulated all the environments here, which is good, to have clean water and clean fresh air and stuff like that, and regulated all the jobs out of here to outsource them to China, Mexico, India, places like that. And the argument is, oh yeah, but it helps the third world. Yeah, but you know what? Let the third world help itself. You can teach them how to do that, fine. But you don't bring yourself down to their level, and that's what we're doing. Each generation is gradually getting more poor here in Canada, the same in the States and Europe and whatever, because of this. Oh, we got to help everybody, end poverty by 2035. It's not, and it's never the world elites that donate their billions of dollars. It's okay. How do we extort more from the little guys here to give over there? Best way to do it is regulate the businesses out of here to send them to China, so China can build up its military and all that. And they have no rules or regulations to really follow there. I mean, you got factories exploding all the time because of lack of and their environment is completely poisoned over there. That's the other thing, and that's going to come over here too. We're all on one planet. You have Pluto over there. It does have butterfly effects. It eventually gets into the water and gets over here. It might take a couple of decades, but it's still, and then of course the jet stream, all the poisons that are in the air there get blown around the world, that type of thing. And, because a handful of tycoons in the government and government cronies are basically making money off of it, oh well, it's okay that they can pollute because, well, they're developing countries. No, I think we all need to be held to the same standard. There's no reason why you can't hold China or India to the same standard, particularly China, because they're making so much money, okay, that they're able to build a military. Well, if they're able to build a military, they're able to get environmentally regulated too. And if they won't do it